The first thing I noticed about her was how still she stood, the kind of stillness that isn't calm but coiled, like a blade balanced on its edge. And even before she spoke, I understood that every person who had ever stepped too close to her had paid for the mistake. The repair bay lights flickered overhead, emergency power stuttering through cables that had already been patched twice since the attack, and she was framed in that cold light like a statue carved from war itself. Half her combat suit was fused into a jagged shell around her torso, black alloy melted into warped ridges, emergency seals pulsing dim red to keep her organs from shutting down. Her hand hovered near the magnetic latch of her pulse blade, not gripping it, just close enough to remind me it existed. "Don't touch me," she said, voice level, but her breath hitched at the edges. Pain leaked through the discipline. I raised my hands slightly so she could see every finger. "I won't," I told her, "unless you want to survive the next 10 minutes. That got her attention. Her eyes snapped to mine, silver and sharp, scanning for sarcasm, fear, weakness. I gave her none. I'd learned a long time ago that machines and wounded soldiers shared one rule: they both reacted badly to panic. She studied me like a threat assessment running in real time. Finally she said, 5 minutes. If I sense anything wrong, you die first. Fair deal, I answered, kneeling beside my kit. If I mess this up, the suit kills you anyway, so I'm motivated. Up close, the armor looked less like equipment and more like a cage that had grown around her. The internal lattice had bonded to her neural ports, microfilaments sunk deep enough that removal without calibration would rip signals straight out of her spine. Valkyr suits were famous for turning soldiers into legends and legends into ghosts. The longer someone wore one, the less of them came back out. I'd read enough case reports to recognize the signs: hypervigilance, emotional compression, trust decay so severe it bordered on chemical. She didn't sit until the station shuddered with another distant impact and dust trickled from the ceiling. Even then, she lowered herself like she expected the floor to betray her. I moved slowly, narrating every motion. Tools out. Diagnostic visor on. External panel access. The suit flared with defensive glyphs the instant I touched it, a ripple of energy crawling across the surface like an animal bristling. Easy, I murmured, and I meant the armor as much as the woman inside it. You're damaged. Let me help. She stiffened. It hears you. Everything hears tone, I said. Most people just ignore it. My fingers traced the seam along her shoulder plate, unlocking one segment at a time. The base smelled like burnt insulation and hot metal. Sweat gathered under my collar, but my hands stayed steady. Minutes stretched. Her breathing gradually synced with my rhythm. You're not afraid, she said quietly. Should I be? Everyone else is, she replied. They see what I am. I glanced up. I see someone trapped in a system that forgot she's supposed to come out of it. The words hung there. She didn't look away. The real danger waited at her spine. The armor's core logic was looping, tightening microservos every time the station's power fluctuated. To stop it, I needed direct access to the neural ports. That meant skin contact. Next step, I said. I need the spinal interface. Her jaw locked. No, if I don't, I said gently. The suit keeps compressing. It thinks it's saving you. A humorless breath escaped her. It always thinks that. Silence. Then she turned just enough to expose the split seam at the base of her neck. 5 seconds, she warned. I stepped in. My heart pounded hard enough I could feel it in my throat, but my hands were precise. The armor had peeled back there, revealing warm skin. When I touched her, she inhaled sharply. The suit exploded in warning light. Alarms shrieked. Energy surged up my arms. Stay still, I ordered, voice cutting through the noise. It's testing intent. My intent is survival, she growled. Then trust me, I said. Just this once. I fed a new logic path into the interface, rewriting command priorities on the fly. The suit fought like a cornered animal. Valkyr systems were built on hierarchy and dominance, not cooperation. I forced a bridge between its threat matrix and her biometric comm, syncing my own pulse through the glove so it had a third rhythm to stabilize against. Seconds dragged like hours. She didn't move. Didn't pull away. "You're different," she whispered over the fading alarms. "You don't touch like you're scared. Or hungry." I huffed a quiet laugh. "I just fix things." The alarms died. The armor loosened with a soft mechanical sigh. Her shoulders dropped a fraction, and that tiny shift felt like watching a mountain decide not to fall. I sealed fractures, rerouted power, reinforced the internal lattice so it supported instead of constricted. With every adjustment, her posture became more her own and less the suit's. When she spoke again, her voice had space in it. "They trained us to rely on nothing," she said. "Said dependence is death." "Isolation kills slower," I replied, "but it kills just as sure." She absorbed that. After a while she asked, "Why aren't you with Central Command?" I hesitated, tightening the final lock. "Because I got tired of repairing weapons and pretending that was the same as saving people." She went quiet. The last panel disengaged with a gentle hiss. The armor shifted into standby. For the first time since she'd walked in, it wasn't forcing her shape. She flexed her hands like she'd rediscovered them. "I didn't know it could feel like this," she whispered. "It always could," I said. "It just needed permission." Hours later, when the emergency fleets secured the station and officials flooded the corridors, they came looking for their soldier. They found her standing outside my bay without her helmet, watching the stars through a cracked viewport. Officers barked orders. She didn't move. She looked at me instead. "They'll undo it," she said. "Put me back the way I was." "They can try," I answered. "But the suit learned." "So did you." She stared at the officers, then back at her hands. "I don't know how to be anything else," she admitted. "This is all I've ever been." I stepped beside her. "Armor's meant to be worn," I said softly. "Not lived in." The officers stopped a few meters away, uncertain. She took one step away from them. Then another. "I won't fight you," she told them calmly. "But I'm not going back." Shock rippled through their formation. A Valkyr refusing recall was history book impossible. She turned to me, eyes no longer sharp with suspicion but bright with something fragile and new. "You touched the suit," she said, "and reached me." I shook my head. "You opened the door." She extended her bare hand. No weapon. No threat. Just trust, trembling but real. I took it. Around us the station groaned back toward life, lights stabilizing, systems rebooting, the universe continuing its indifferent spin. But in that small circle of scorched metal and flickering glow, something enormous had shifted. She was still dangerous. Still built for war. That hadn't vanished. It had simply stepped aside to make room for a choice. And for the first time since the armor closed around her, she wasn't owned by it. She was wearing it. And she was deciding, moment by moment, who she would be inside.